I got Lucas McGill here. Tommy Lepore here from Blue Springs South. Brett Norfleet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Dave and Dave getting it done as per usual. Got some discounts through February 7th. Take a look at those. Make sure you get your team registered. We're right around the corner. March. Some, we call it spring baseball. We're not quite, I think we start a little bit like the week before spring. But, you know.
It's cold baseball.
It's cold baseball, but high school baseball starting up in March as well, about the same weekend. So we're looking forward to it. We're right around the corner. And today, Prep Baseball Talk. I have to my right, joining us, been a little bit, Coach Perkins, Francis Howell High School. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
You look good, man.
I don't know about that.
And as always, our resident guru from Prep Baseball Report, Kevin Mulder. Kevin, how's it going, buddy?
Going great.
Hey, did you like the picture we had up there for you last week? I don't know if you saw it or not. I know you're probably up to your eyeballs. He ended up in a meeting and whatnot and couldn't make the show, so we just stuck this picture of him up there. And
had him there.
We had him on the show.
Good.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. It was fun. But today, folks, we're going to finish off a little bit talking, since we got Coach Perkins here. We got a little bit of a lineup. We're going to talk a little GAC. We're going to talk some the Missouri State High School Coaches Association. You called it a clinic, Coach. Is it just an annual meeting,
It's
little
a clinic.
bit of both?
It is a clinic, and where we get a lot of speakers and that kind of thing. But we also break out in our meetings and rankings meetings and whatever else needs to go on, executive meetings, and there's a bunch of meetings that go on.
It was well attended. I got a chance. I met some of the Missouri American Legion guys, zone commissioners up there. They had a booth, and I've been working with those guys a little bit, and then was able to. I saw you coming out, and you're like, "Oh, hey."
I didn't know.
I was just hanging around, shaking hands. That's
there you
all.
go. That's how you get to know people.
Exactly. So, and I did too, because we're gonna get Coach Brian Ash from Southern Boone on the show.
He's an awesome coach.
And I talked with Scott Webb, Willard, down there. He's going to come on the show. So I made a few connections that way and get some guys. It's great to talk to those guys in these different areas of the state, because we get to know a little bit more about what's going on there in their neck of the woods as well.
You bet. That's how we do it.
Absolutely. So, but first, I want to finish off here. We're going to talk a little. We did our power rankings a couple weeks ago, and we've still got some teams. We have 8 teams that we didn't talk about in that first go around. But here, Class 6 schools, they were Class 6 last year. I believe they're going to be. We have Troy Buchanan, Francis Howell North, and Fort Zumwalt North. All 3 of these teams, I think Troy Buchanan, with Justin Rogers, he's got some kids. I think he lost Cade Noddy from last year's squad. I think he's gonna have some trouble finding some pitching. Where's that depth gonna come from? It may be a little bit of rebuilding for him. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I talked to him quite a bit over the weekend and stuff, and I was nosing around just trying to see if people thought they were going to be top 10 or some teams to watch, or that kind of a thing. He didn't think he was quite at that level this year. He wasn't giving up hope. I know that. He had a very positive attitude about fielding a competitive team. I think he's a great coach. I mean, he goes to all the clinics ever since he was at Winfield before. I'd show up and, I don't know, Atlanta or wherever else we're at, Chicago, whatever, and there he was, He's always trying to get better, and that's awesome, and he surrounds himself with some good people, and that helps.
Yeah. Kevin, any thoughts there?
Yeah, they lost some key pieces from last year, and probably even last year they'd probably admit they probably fell short of where they thought they would end up being season wise. So you never know. The exciting news out of Troy, which I think is a good development for our area, is they invested into their facility and they're going to be playing on a brand new turf field, which is always exciting to add one of those to the area, Coach.
Yep, no doubt. Troy got it. Washington's got it now too. There's so many more people taking that commitment to put the turf in, and in the long run, you're going to make money because it just makes sense to do it. I would have nothing to do because I don't have to drag a field no more.
And to your point,
I was going to bring up, Francis Howell, it would be an exception to the rule. If when I'm out getting ready to go out to games in the spring and I catch a rainy day, I know my options are Vianney, Chaminade, or Francis Howell. Two of them have turf, and the other has Coach Perkins.
it's the truth, man.
Yeah,
I am a little stubborn.
It takes work, though, doesn't it, Coach?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
It takes work, and it also takes knowledge, and there's an art to it, and there's commitment level, and Coach has both of those. The commitment, the knowledge, and the resources. I'm sure you admit you're fortunate to have. You do a good job raising money with the program, and you got a really nice field. And were you guys high school field of the year?
Yeah, in Region 5, which encompasses like 5 states. Yeah, we were. It was quite an honor.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Say, yeah.
Absolutely. And we had Scott Harris on the show last week, and Scott, I brought that up to Scott, and what does that look like moving forward? And he thinks, it's going to start the ball rolling, but the economics, especially with a Howell, a Zumwalt, you're talking not just one school, but 3 and 4 schools. So you're who gets it first, and those types of things. So I think I don't think we're that far away, and I think he alluded to that. But just setting those things in motion, putting that funding there, I think that he seemed positive about that whole prospect as well.
I also think, and you're right. I mean, they'll do 3 at a time or 4 at a time, and you get it. It's cheaper if you do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that some kids will be allured to go to private schools that have it when public schools don't.
Right.
And when you fall behind you're losing kids, and that's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. That's a great point. It is. It really is. Because I think at Dominic at some point here in St. Charles County, we'll probably do that.
Oh, yeah, they have to keep up with all the private schools doing it.
Absolutely. And they're building their program. So there's so many different factors involved in that. But getting back to these schools, Howell North, Coach Donahue, he had a winning season last year, winning record. That program, he kind of on the uptick there. I think that you're going to see a lot. But the problem is, he's back this year in the North. South, that's correct. I'm sorry. And so that's going to be a little bit of a, where's he at? I haven't seen a lot of kids from where I haven't done a lot of research just yet with that. I'm going to look into those things with Francis Howell. But just in the numbers, when you see they weren't. It wasn't a winning record. It was close. He was 15-18 overall, 3-7 in the GAC Central. But he's got 12 returning seniors. Got some kids coming back. Usually bodes well to create opportunities moving forward.
Usually does, yeah. I mean, it is going to be a different scene. There's a lot of games that he could win in the lower levels that he's going to have, strap it on for when he starts playing our conference, playing everybody, twice. It's a tough go, man. I mean, for any of us, even, me and Zumwalt West and Timberland, everybody else, ain't no easy ones.
No.
I mean, every day is going to be a battle, and hopefully you can come out on top at the end, but there's no way anybody's going to clean the slate in our conference. That's for sure, because somebody will beat somebody more than once.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any knowledge about some of these kids he's got in his program over there?
It is an older team. They don't have a jump off the page superstar. It's going to have to be done by collective effort, which certainly some of the best teams are done that way. But as Coach alluded to, that it is going to be interesting to track the Hal North season, because they're going up. I think it's fair to say going up in class, and there's no off days. You don't bring your A game, you get your butt handed to you in that league, and that's fun though, because it makes you up. And I think there's no coincidence that a large portion of the time someone from that conference ends up in the state Final Four, and that's because they're battle tested. And they might not have the prettiest win-loss record throughout the regular season, but come by the end of the season, they're going to be battle tested and ready to play in the playoffs, and usually that pays off.
Yeah, and Bobby's, he's a legend of a coach. He's the only coach that school's ever had. He'll get every ounce that he can out of those kids, and he understands. He's kind of my mentor. I mean, I started learning baseball when I hit St. Charles County from Bobby Donahue and Terry Casper. Those are the guys that taught me the game and taught me the work ethic and things like that. So, yeah, those kids are fortunate to have Bobby, and with Mike Friedline helping him. I mean, that's a nice mix, because Friedline's pretty techie, and so he can do all that stuff, where Bobby's just old school dinosaur. He's, he don't want to mess with that, so Friedline really helps him out.
Zumwalt North, Coach Siebert over there, they're coming off a 13-14 overall record. They were 4-6 in the GAC Central. They got 6 returning seniors, a little left, but they still have Tanner Paschke. They got that solid arm on day one. We're going to have to take a look a little bit more at these guys as well, because I think that's going to be a struggle. I think they might even take a step back, because the Central, when you add Holt coming down to the Central with Liberty, with South, with East, Washington in the Central is no cakewalk.
Is North Point in there too?
North Point's in the north. They're north, yeah. So I think Zumwalt North is going to have a tough time in that GAC Central. I really do. I think Paschke's going to give them a chance on day one to win. But, what they have underneath that, I don't know.
Coach Siebert was grinding this last weekend. I saw him. They're the guys you call the grinders that hang around for the last speakers and don't miss speakers. And he was there sitting there by himself in the second row. I was in the first row, but he was there. He was there all by himself, working and trying to get better. And that just shows you a work ethic. Those are the guys you got to watch out for. You go to clinics and they're in there and they're trying to get better every day. I mean, those are the guys I pay attention to, and you can see those guys a lot of times become successful just because of their work ethic.
Very good. Any thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, no, they headlined by one of the top arms in the area, Tanner Paschke, and Tanner's going to have to do a lot for this ball club. He's probably going to play shortstop again, I'd imagine. A lot's gonna fall on his shoulders, and that can wear a guy down, especially a guy that I would call more of a pit. Like he's gonna pitch in college, so hopefully the shortstop and playing every single day doesn't distract too much from his work on the mound, because they're going to need him to do it all, basically, I would say.
And Coach Siebert, if you're watching, I'd love to get you on. We reached out to him. Love to get him on for part of the preview shows and stuff that we're doing, because I think the more we get to knowledge of these teams and where they're going, especially from the coaches, like you said, getting to know the coaches, I love that part of it. Moving into the season, I think it's great.
Yeah, those guys would know a lot more about that middle group than I would. So,
yeah,
because they play them every day, so you get to know them.
Exactly, and we do. We've got, we'll get to that in a minute. I want to finish up here. In the north, we've talked about St. Charles West. Coach Allen's doing a great job over there with that program. They're in the district hunt every year. I know he's working to make that next step into the state playoffs and going in that direction. They got there the one year. ended up losing to Blair Oaks, which,
There's no shame in that.
Yeah, no, it isn't. And so, you've got a bunch of kids coming back. But here's Orchard Farm, the St. Charles Pirates, Warrenton Warriors, Winfield Warriors, these 4 teams. Now, the Warrenton Warriors, we've talked about, is it Cannon Hibbs is a really good baseball player. I think they're going to rely on him a lot. They've only got 3 returning seniors, though. They were 6-2 in the GAC North, 15-13 overall. But I think that might be a little difficult for them. They don't have that experience coming back. They had a lot of seniors last year, so that could be a step backwards for Warrenton. But I still think they got a quality program. They've been right there playing hard in the mix. I've umpired games out there. The coaches work hard. That's just my thoughts with Warrenton. I don't know if you guys got anything to add to those.
I wish I did. I don't.
No,
play
it's
them.
all right, Coach. I get it.
Yeah.
No, it's fine, and that's why That's why I'm doing this, because I want to make sure. Here we have Orchard Farms. I got Coach Kendall coming up. Orchard Farm. I know I said the S the last time. He goes, "Oh no, don't. Easy."
There's only one of them.
That's right, Orchard Farm. Sorry, Coach.
Farm.
That's right. Coach Kendall, it was a great conversation. That'll be coming up. We talked to him and talked about his program, and he was great with the kid, looking to build that program. And it's tough with Class 4, because it's the difference in they have a JV and a varsity squad. They got he said we have a lot of kids lined up, though. He said the program's dealing better. We got more and more kids coming out to try out, which I think is fantastic for the smaller class schools, Coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have great facilities out there, and I refereed some basketball games out there. I was really impressed with the direction I could see things going, and the kids seem to be into it, and that's a lot to it,
Yeah.
And baseball field's right out the door, so they're real close, and yeah, I think that if you get some players, look out.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Winfield Warriors. We're going to get Jamie Stokes on. He's contacted me. We're going to talk to him about his program. They were 10-13. They were 5-3 in the GAC North. They got 6 returning seniors. So we're looking forward to talking to Coach Stokes about his program, and we'll have that coming up for you as well. We also have Brad Bishel from St. Charles coming on. We're going to get a chance to talk to him about his program. They had a struggle last year. They were 4-22, but they got 7 returning seniors. They've got a couple of kids, Maddox Meyer, that is a solid offensive player. They've got a couple of arms.
William Jewell.
Yes, exactly. And so they've got some kids there that I think I think they're going to be better than the 4-22 from last year, Kevin. Yeah,
and one team that's caught my attention, it's more out of curiosity, I think, because we're getting to watch them from ground zero. It's going to be fun to watch the North Point program grow. Last year they played a varsity schedule, or at least a partial varsity schedule, without varsity-aged players. That's going to end up being a big school. They could be playing in the bigger conference here within a couple of years. So it's going to be fun to watch them come. They develop. They got a young right-hander named Jack Cowling that's going to be an interesting follow, 6'4" kid, projectable arm. So that's one that I got my eye on and am looking forward to go see this spring.
Absolutely.
And that Winfield group's don't they have the Creech boys? There's like 3 of them.
Yes, I think you're right.
And all 3 of those kids can really play.
Yeah.
So
I think you're absolutely right, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's plenty of, and that's the thing. I think, it's to be certain, the South Conference gets the pub, and it should because of the level of play. But that's why I like looking down through this, because in the North, in these Class 4 schools, there's some really good players because we're still in the same area, and you got these kids filtering. One of the best players in the area is at St. Charles West, Brendan Goring. That kid can play, and he's going to be a big factor for St. Charles West this year. As we said, St. Charles, the Pirates are a Class 5 school, so they're up there a little bit. I think Warrenton is Class 5 as well. Orchard Farm. And from what I saw last year, too, Misha had North Point in a Class 5 district, even last year. So,
Coach Allen was at the clinic. He's working hard.
Yeah.
He spoke at the clinic last year. I got him to speak about outfield last year. So he's knowledgeable.
Yes, he is. And I got a chance to talk to him when I was over there and talking to him about the team. I got a chance to meet Dane Goff. We got Coach Eric Goff coming up on a preview show. He's going to be right there in the mix. He's retooling, and
that dude's excited.
Yeah,
that dude is excited.
That's the one thing about Zumwalt West when you talk about it is there's.
I was talking about Dane.
Dane,
the Washington.
Oh, okay.
Dane's a little more go get him.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
He's cracking me up all weekend.
We're going to get him up on the show, so
we'll have fun.
We'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, you will.
But that kind of finishes out the GAC there, and there's going to be some great stuff. We're looking forward to talking to these coaches, so everybody stay tuned. We're going to even get Coach talking about his squad over there, which he loves to do.
Yeah, I do.
And but we want to talk a little bit. We got Coach P on here for the clinic. The high school coaches were all in Jeff City this week. And we got some you can't really start ranking teams yet, and Coach alluded to this before the show because nobody really knows the classes yet, the classifications. I mean, you can speculate based on school size, but until the classifications come out, you don't know. And that's happened to you the last couple of years, hasn't it, Kevin?
Yes, yeah. With those borderline schools, it happens. Like we know Francis Howell, CBC, those are 6A schools. But there is always that wave of schools that is kind of right on that fringe of 5, 6, or 4, 5, or whatever we're looking at. Yeah.
Well, that was a problem in football. We've been Class 6 for years, the biggest class wherever, and all of a sudden we're Class 5, and everybody started complaining about that. Of course, we ran the slate and were state champions. They were 33, and they only took 32 to Class 6. So you never know what's going to happen. And I think I was talking to Doug Fessler and our football coach, and they were talking about eliminating Class 6 and just going back to 5 classes. And then your brackets are going to change and whatever else, and the whole state format will change. I don't know. You never know. That's why it's a watch list. And I understand why Misha does it, because schools say they're going to have a baseball team in the spring, and then they get to it, and all of a sudden they don't have enough guys to field the team.
Yeah.
So they're not able to field the team.
Right.
Or maybe a team jumps in and says, "Hey, man, we got enough this year. Let's play." Class 1 schools, small schools. Hey, we got enough guys. We want to participate in Misha. So great, boom. So numbers are skewed. I mean, it's just not the Class 6. It's 1 through 6, and you got to make that as level as you possibly can, where you're getting 8 people in the districts, which has been different because there were times we had 5 teams in a district, or 6 teams, or 7 teams. Not very, very rarely do we have 8. Right. Now the last year was 8, and it'll be 8 this year as well, just depending on where everybody jumps in. So it's a tough go, but it is what it is. You just deal with it.
As he talked, because Doug Fessler, he's talking about eliminating Class 6 in baseball?
Football.
Oh, football, okay.
That's the rumor I had.
Oh, okay.
They're discussing it.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
There's always discussions. I was going to say I wouldn't like that in baseball because I think what we had last year was real. I thought, the Class 6 schools, there was 64 of them, wasn't there?
32.
32?
I think, maybe.
Was it only 4 districts in class? I thought it was more than that. I thought it was 64.
I think it was just 4 because you skipped the sectional game. You went right to the quarterfinals.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to take a look because I want to make sure because I think this is an interesting conversation, Coach, because I think it does. I think it matters, and especially when you're talking about teams on those levels at Class 5 that are below that wanting to compete and putting themselves in a place.
Like when I'm at the clinic, I always try to make point to talk to smaller schools and not exclude any of them and stuff. And it's amazing how many of them are right there, whether it be 1 to 2, 2 to 3, in between each one, and they have no idea where they're going to be. Hey, we're going to be really good in Class 3.
Right.
If we get in Class 4, I don't think we have a chance.
Right.
So that news of where they're going to be is huge to that facility or that community, about what level they're going to be playing at. So that's a tough thing.
It was 8 districts, 8 districts of 8 teams.
It was 64. Yeah.
64?
I was thinking about it, the math in my head.
Yeah.
I was a PE guy.
I have to take my shoes off, Kevin. It's a good thing you're around.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge factor. And I think with that many schools, I thought the competition was really good in districts. I think it was there. What's that? Yeah, it was, man. And I think it was across the board.
There's no gimmies that level, man.
No.
It's a war.
As we saw, Kickapoo got upset. We saw some teams, you have Liberty North over there on that side, Staley and all. I think the level of competition at that Class 6, where I think some schools, for instance, we saw Holt move back down. Howell went back to the south. Holt goes to the central because, of course, Scott Harris said, yeah, we're looking at the enrollment numbers, and it's a possibility they end up in Class 5 because of enrollment numbers, which don't know until, right?
That's why North Point hurt them.
Yeah. And so, but you look at Holt in a Class 5, that could be a state run.
Oh, they got some good players,
right?
No doubt. Yeah, a lot of them are juniors.
Exactly. So you've got the arms to do it. That puts Holt in that GAC Central with South, Liberty, East, North, and Washington, and I'm not so sure Holt doesn't come out of that on top in the GAC Central. They're a really good baseball team. Yeah, it changes the dynamics of things in that way.
I agree. I think they could be kind of a favorite in Class 5 just because they've been competing in Class 6 the whole time, and they always got dudes. And I think they'll be somebody to be really watching. I mean, the Class 5 vice president better pay attention because that's the guy who runs the rankings committee. I don't know who it is. Oh, yeah, I do. It's Jim Julian from Springfield, Glendale, I think.
And they were one defensive play from meeting you in the district final in that Zumwalt West game. They were playing their butts off against West, and the one kid West had the big hit. Kid didn't. It was going to be a tough play. Ball's dry. I was there. I was watching. It was just one play right there. That's a tip of the cap. You move on.
Yep.
So. Yes, they compete at a very high level, and I think that's an interesting conversation there with Holt.
Mm-hmm. They'll be good.
Let's talk a little bit about the weekend, Coach.
Okay.
When you talk about the Missouri State High School, I was surprised. It's the first time I drove up there. Like I said, I was up there with some guys from the American Legion, and I got to mill around and shake hands with folks. And I was surprised Brian Ash had seen our show, so thanks, Coach Ash, for watching. Do appreciate that. That's
he's a good friend.
Some ups, and it was interesting just talking to some of the guys. I'd introduce myself, told them what we do, and just start talking baseball. And that to me was what was fun about it, is you're around all these guys that just want to talk baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we learned so much just in the hallways and in the rooms, and just having conversations throughout the whole weekend. I mean, the clinic itself, well, just the value of being a member of the Coach Association has really changed, because you have to be a member to, say, nominate your kid for All-State. You have to be a member to nominate him for academic All-State. There was a time 20 years ago where I'd show up to All-State meeting. I would be the only guy from St. Louis. I mean, the meetings are open to any member that they can show up, but that was a rough go, and I missed some great players, and I know I did because there's so many in St. Louis, but now that landscape is changing and the St. Louis guys are involved. Kansas City always has been pretty well represented, but we get along that way. But you also get like $1 million insurance for running your camps, and that's a big deal for some people. You have that in your pocket. But the more people that get involved, the better it is for their kids. I mean, Ben Bear from Blue Springs South does the speaker list, and I kind of help him as well. But the guys that we get are really great. I mean, they understand that it's a high school coaches thing. High school coaches want nuts and bolts. They want drills. They want to get better that way. You go to the ABCA, which is the big one. Coach Bianco's up there from Ole Miss, and then they have all the big Power 5 coaches in there. They're not giving their secrets away. They don't want Alabama to know what they're doing in practice. I mean, they'll tell a story about their runs. They'll put up videos of their players and how they're doing and that kind of thing. You're not getting drills. And that's what it's all about. I think at the high school, even the BCA, the National BCA, and ours, you're getting what you need to make yourself better. Everybody goes in with the attitude, if I can take one thing away from this clinic, it was worth the money spent.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But most of the time, you can get more out of it. A lot of times, as old as I am, I'll be hearing a guy speak. I say, man, that's good stuff. I mean, I don't know why I don't do that no more. I got to get back to that. I mean, and then you have some guys that'll be talking. It's like, yeah, I do that. Okay, good. I must be doing okay because he likes it too. Those are the kinds of things that, gives you affirmation. And then there's the side stuff, where, I'm all over the place. I kind of help Bill Seaman and Janet Seaman, who are the backbone of our association, run the thing a little bit, but I'm running around everywhere. And, I help with check-in and registration, so you get to know everybody.
Right.
I mean, there are guys I know, I run the raffles because I'm in charge of the vendors, and we had 16 vendors, and I give away a bunch of prizes, bats and bags, and I don't know, just on and on and on and on, all kinds of things, and those guys come up and I'll say, hey, you're going to win this year because they'll buy $50 worth of raffles, and they win. It's always a competition with us coaches. That's mine. I'm gonna
what?
Win that.
If that's a fungo bat, it's cheaper than buying it retail.
I gave away 5 fungos. I gave away 5 fungos. Seriously, that's a big. I said people know that. They like that. And there's even one guy that donated a bottle of bourbon. That was a big hit. Everybody wanted that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's for after them tough games, man.
Right. I was probably going to open that night.
We won't tell, though.
Yeah, I have no idea who got it. I can't remember. But it's a valuable thing. We have a senior all-star game that we host, and that day we do the all-state meeting. I usually jump in and I'm blessed to be asked to coach the senior class 6 team. And that's where I got to be around Carson Milbrandt, first time, and I was like, wow. I get to be around great players, and it's so fun. And the experience for these kids that we're trying to provide, Jake McCutcheon was my kid who was player of the year in the state, which that was awful cool. Ty Thompson from Rockbridge was the newcomer of the year. They give these awards, and they're beautiful trophies. Our award ceremonies, all the Final Four coaches get awards. All the guys that won districts get awards.
And that's for all the classes, correct,
every class,
Coach?
yeah.
Wow.
And then it's a banquet on Saturday afternoon. It's a Hall of Fame banquet when Gary Renshaw from Ray-Pec and John Meyer from Marquette got inducted into our Hall of Fame, which is always a pretty special thing.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I've been in there a while.
That's what I thought.
There's nobody else around, so they stuck me in there.
Oh, man.
Well, that's why I got so involved, though, because I saw some guys get put in the Hall of Fame, and you never see them again. I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy.
Right.
So I was vice president, and got put in the Hall of Fame, whatever, and I was like, what can I do? So I'm in charge of the vendors, and I help with registration. I got put in 2002, so that's how long I still been doing it afterwards.
And I saw this. I got over there and I saw Justin Rogers, And he was, most of the coaches, they're in their gear, and shorts or pullover, whatnot. And I see Justin coming out, and he's in
nice polo,
slacks and a jacket and
nice
shirt.
polo.
And I was like, Coach, you representing there,
He had a
and
nice
he's
polo
got
that
the
I
pin
gave him.
on. He's the president elect.
Yeah, he's vice president.
Yeah. So I was like, so that's kind of cool. GAC representing there. That's going to be interesting long term. So
I might
I'm
have
going to
something
make
to do
sure
with that.
do what?
I might have had something to do with that.
That's okay, Coach. That's good. I love that. And that gives, because I love that for the fact of developing that relationship that we've done with Justin. He's a good guy, and bringing him on the show and being able to talk about those things and keep that baseball conversation open.
Yeah, a couple years ago, Coach Rogers came to me. He goes, "Coach, what can I do? What can I do to get more involved?" I said, "You ready?" Here we go. So it's a 4-year commitment.
But you got to love that attitude as a young guy.
Yeah, he'll be 2 years as president-elect or vice president, and then he'll be 2 years as president. And then he'll probably go in the Hall of Fame someday.
That's awesome. I love
That's
that.
how it works.
I love that.
Cool.
It is neat.
Kevin, you've been a part of these coaching clinics and things and whatnot. What was it that you liked about these things? What helped you in this process?
Yeah, I've been to a good number of them in multiple different states and the national ABCA one. And I was there this past weekend, so it was really cool. And it was my second time coming to the Missouri Coaches one, and I was really impressed. You can tell they've done great work putting it together and a really strong turnout. I think, Coach, was this the best? Was this a record turnout this year, did you say?
Yeah, we had 350. We had over 350 at the banquet. We had some extra because some parents come in and people, the Hall of Fame guys bring a table of 10, like Rick Regina, who's the principal at Marquette High School. One of my old assistant coaches was there supporting John Meyer, so they come and, so that's extra people. Some of the other guys go to the room and start watching football, but everybody has choices.
Yeah. Really cool event, though, and it's really the only time when you get together with your peers when you're not, trying to compete versus each other. So it's a good way to kind of step back and, have some camaraderie and then also learn and, share some conversations with some guys and learn some things. So it's a really cool event, and it's, it means that our state of baseball in Missouri is really healthy.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We've taken the furniture out of our rooms and went over catching and bunting and stuff in our rooms and that kind of stuff. I mean, we have some late nights talking about this stuff. And I was playing cards with a guy from Purdy, Missouri. He's Class 2. He asked me a question, and I didn't feel like I answered it well enough. He asked me, how do you get to the Final Four? He goes, I have never been past the quarterfinal game. And he had double-digit district championships. And
wow.
He's never been to a Final Four, and I don't think I answered him very well. So I called him up yesterday, and I said, I'll drive to Purdy, and I'll talk to you, your coaches, and everybody in your staff. All your kids, too. I want your kids there. And I got some things I could talk about. I think that could help you. It's going to be a 4-hour drive, but I'm retired, so I could just drive down there and help that guy out because he's been at this Class 2 school for 19 years. So that tells me a little bit about that guy, too, that he cares about – it's a baseball school because there's some other guys that were in the room that were, around his area, and they didn't want to play him. All right, so tells me that he's got a good program in that area, but he can't get over the hump for some reason. So I'm going to drive down there and help him out and see what I can do. I'll bring my ring, show the kids, and we'll hang out and get better.
That's cool. I love that stuff. See, that to me,
awesome.
that's what high school sports is about, right, Coach?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you want to compete because everybody wants to compete to win. That's a given.
Yeah, there was one guy sitting there. He goes, "Coach, you were at Brashear, weren't you?" And I go, "Yeah, I was at Brashear." I go, "How do you know that?" He said, "I was at La Plata, which was in our conference. Brashear had graduating class 24. We're class 1. I did that for 3 years, and we had 8 schools that were all about same size, So it was cool that he knew that about me, and that's the kind of size of schools are around that that we talk. And I said, man, I understand. I've been there. I've done that. I understand. They always think I'm the big coach that wins in the Class 6, blah blah blah. I said, I know what it is to have nothing. Let's talk. Keep plugging away, kid.
And that's what we talk about here. I think that's the toughest thing. When you start talking to Class 4 and below, you don't have the pool of talent to choose from. And you can say what you want to. When you have more kids to choose from, it does affect the level of talent and play. Correct?
Absolutely. Who was I talking to the other day talking about, it was Jeff City back in the day, said Jeff City will never split. Well, Jeff City split, and things went a little bit downhill.
Yeah.
So it is hard. I mean, this Purdy, I think he said he had 124 graduating class. Mm-hmm. So that's where he's at. But he goes, from my 4th grade class all the way on, we're baseball people. So, and I know that, we all play baseball at Purdy, Missouri. I said, I want to come down and see what you're all about, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. Jason Hughes, he's a good dude.
Kevin, we're going to jump into some of these because we'll see if we can give you start his brain working on his rankings for this year as well. So we got some.
I was asking him over the weekend, what do you got? What do you got, Kev? Where are you at? I kind of do the groundwork. All weekend I'm running around. I said, well, you gonna be good? You gonna be good? You top 10 team? Blah blah. Then I get Mulder. I said, okay, what do you got? Because he knows more than most.
I'm going to start with a couple teams. One of your favorites down in the South County or below that, Jackson. I think Jackson, you've got just in this area, CBC, of course. DeSmet is in this. People talking about DeSmet this year. And that's interesting because you're talking about CBC. SLU still has some really good arms over there,
Dumont.
which I think is interesting. So
Garrett Shearer, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that,
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, SLU High, they have some big time pitching. Dumont, Garrett Shearer, that's a loaded team. But DeSmet, the MCC is going to have a little bit of an uptick, I would say, league wide, and obviously it's headlined by CBC. Vianney has a lot of talent that. They had a super talented freshman class last year, and now those guys are all sophomores, and maybe still a year away. Well, time shall tell. But they have plenty of talent, and I think DeSmet though would be a team that could take a good step forward this year. To try to compete with to CBC.
Yeah, I was one of the guys brought DeSmet up, and I was basically going off of what Kevin had told me. With the arms, and I also know that their coach is fantastic.
Yeah.
I really like Coach Canavan. He's a good dude. Coach Stewart from Vianney was grinding this last weekend at the clinic. He had a bunch of guys with him, which is cool. I brought 5 of my assistants. So, if you bring those guys, you're just trying to get them better too, and he was doing that. So that was cool. Mason Horn even spoke. He spoke on indoor practice. I had to sit in on that one. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that indoor practice, you only have so much space, right, Coach?
Everybody's looking for drills.
We go to the other side of the state, of course, Kevin. Liberty North, Blue Springs South again. You got Liberty. Rockbridge, I think, is one that, kind of sits there. Are they going to make another step this year? Of course, Ray-Pec. Lee Summit West is in there. Thoughts on some of these squads?
Jay Myers, guys coming back at Lee Summit West. Who's the other? Ray-Pec's got 2 legit arms that are supposed to be 90 pluses. Who's the other ones that you mentioned?
Of course, as far as Liberty, Blue Springs South, of course, I know Tommy Laporte's coming back.
Oh, yeah, they have everybody back. I mean, Liberty North, us, and Liberty and Blue Springs South all got a ton of guys back.
Yeah.
I mean, those we have the most. But Liberty's got, they lost Carson Milbrandt, but they got arms as well. And everybody in Kansas City said that, they needed to be up there pretty high. And Liberty North's got everybody back. I mean, they're deserving. I mean, when we finally figure out who's what, they're going to be number one because they're returning state champs and they got a bunch of guys back, and they got Ty Wisdom and Tate McGuire. I mean, Tate McGuire's going to win it. He's another arm for them, for Liberty North. He's going to beat you every time too. So that's where it's at.
Shortstop going to Tennessee, catcher going to Oklahoma.
Bo Jonas.
They look a lot like the Francis Howell roster.
Yes, they do. They do. We're twins, I'm telling you.
Very similar.
Yeah. Took them 10 innings, and we lost 4-3 to them. Great game.
Well, that's the interesting thing, as you said, Coach. Liberty North's got their guys. You guys, the Final Four, Blue Springs South. I mean, the outlier is Lindbergh.
They got Bjorn though, he's going to win.
He's back, yeah.
And he was at the clinic. I was talking to him about it. He goes, "Yeah, we're going to win every 5 days."
Oh. So do you think CBC? Who's going to take? If we're looking at, and I know we're not ranking guys, but if you're looking, those three schools, I mean, it could be. It's hard to repeat. It's hard just to get back into the Final Four. Sorry, Coach.
That's okay. I'm just looking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that we're all going to lose because we're all playing each other.
Yeah, Kevin.
Well, it is hard to get back, and you look at the districts that, in particular, Liberty North and Francis Howell have to come out of. Just to win your district is going to be a handful, and those are state championship type districts. So, it's no, like, for example, Liberty North didn't win their district last year. They were the state champ the year before. No, they won state last year. The year before that, they didn't get out of their district. So it'll be a challenge for them just to get out of their district, but they are absolutely loaded. And I remember sitting there last year at the Final Four, looking at the rosters, and to be brutally honest, I was like, 3 of these 4 teams are going to be better next year than they are today.
Yep, I agree.
You're
right.
You could see all 3 of them back, but that would be, being hard. That's a hard feat to pull off because, as Coach knows, just you can have a super talented group, but there's a lot of talented groups. So getting back will be a challenge. But on paper, Blue Springs South, Liberty North, Francis Howell have extremely loaded rosters. The state tournament is going to be, extremely talented this year. I think that's fair to say that.
It could be a situation where all 3 of us don't make it.
Yeah. I mean, you're sitting there, Fort Zumwalt West is in this, and it was an interesting comment. No, I'm going to leave it alone because I want it for the show, because Coach Goff said some interesting things. Kenton Deverman is as good a number 1 as there is out there.
Absolutely.
That kid is hard to hit. And he talked about 3 or 4 guys that he's got coming this year, pitching wise. I think the depth is going to be there. I think they're going to have to grind a little bit on offense. They lost a lot of production there. We'll just have to see what comes back for them. But I think that could be. I mean, he always gets his guys ready to play, and they're there to compete.
Biggest school around. He and I are good friends. We talked at the clinic. I said, "Okay, I got a question for you." I said, "Who's your number 2?" That was where I was at. And he says, I got 3 or 4 guys. I'm not sure who's going to be.
Yeah.
But one of those 3 or 4 guys is going to be my number 2. And we'll get that figured out early in the season. I said, okay. I was just curious. Because Deverman's, clear cut, one of the best guys in the state.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you put him up on the mound, you're gonna have the opportunity to win a ball game.
He's a good kid too.
Yeah. So I think that's an interesting thing. Then in the Southwest, Republic, Nixa, Kickapoo, that's kind of a repeat thought process there. But we were kind of talking a little bit before the show, and Kevin, I don't know if one of those teams, I know Nixa had a really good run, but kind of fell short a little bit there. I don't know if those teams maybe have all what they need at that Class 6 level to get a state title to make a run to Final
Nix
Four.
is the team I worry about because they got Logan Hughes as the head coach now. He used to be assistant coach at Drury University for a long time, so he understands and he knows what to do, and that scares me, because those guys, we're friends, because my son played for him for 1 year, but I even used his field at the Final Four. He let me use his field to work out.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was him that I went to, and because I felt comfortable. I asked, "Can I use your field for an hour and a half workout or whatever?" And he said, "Sure." So that's how good of friends we are. Jackson, I know. Kevin, you'd probably know a lot more about them. I know they got Cade Bogenpool and John Paul's. John Paul's?
JP Sauer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a loaded group again. They kind of have the program thing going. They're churning out talent year after year. I feel like their only question with them is how good are they going to be? They're always going to be good, and this year I think they got a good group, and obviously have some headliners there with Bogenpool and JP Sauer. So
it
should be tough again.
Cape Central down that area, but you're right. Jackson's kind of taken over. And they were in our Midwest Classic for a long time, and then they got out. But it was kind of cool to see them grow, and get better. When they first came in, they didn't compete very well, and then it gradually was getting better and better and better and better, and now they're somebody to pay attention to.
I saw they're in your opening tournament, the Troy tournament this year.
Yeah, they switched.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll get into some of that. We got Coach coming back next week. We're going to be talking. We're going to talk a little bit about that tournament, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, we got
Midwest Classic.
We got the brackets for Troy and Midwest Classic.
So I want to talk a little bit about those because that's going to be it's always a good headliner and a good good shot. That's the first time I'd seen Blue Spring South. Was at
when Tommy threw against us?
Yeah. And I was like, dang, that kid was out there flaming, singing and dancing on the mound while he's taking you apart.
Pumping in there 90 plus. Like, thanks, man. We ain't got a chance, dude.
It's one of the best high school things I ever saw, man. He's
loosey-goosey. What a physical specimen he is, man. He's a good-looking kid.
Yes, he is.
If you want to meet Tommy, we did a player spotlight this year on him. You can go to the channel, go to Youth Baseball Midwest, watch the player spotlight. He's a great kid to talk to. I really enjoyed talking to Tommy Lepore. It was a lot of fun.
It's good stuff.
And next week, too, I want to look at some Class 5 schools, the Final Four. Most of this, I think, is going to be Class 6 when you look at these schools.
I think so. Yeah, that is. I mean, but you should probably get one of the Class 5 coaches in here. They know a lot better than me.
Well, we'll talk. I get that, Coach. I get that part of it.
Right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But we do want to talk. We'll still have him back next week. We're going to talk a little bit about the tournaments coming up and talk a little bit more about the beginning of the season, where it's going. And then we're going to talk to him about his team as well. So
could be a long segment.
That'll be a long segment. Yes,
I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm doing more and more of these things. We're looking more at the west side of the state, but between Liberty North, Francis Howell, I think those two teams, if somebody beats them, it's going to be a chore, and that's just what I got to say right there.
No, we'll lay an egg somewhere along the way. I'll get mad at them.
Maybe. Well, yeah, you'll get beaten this season. You had 10 losses last year, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. You'll lose a game.
I don't care.
I love it.
It's not how you start. It's how you finish.
That's right.
That's correct, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So we're looking forward to it. Kevin, final thoughts, man?
No, I'm just getting into my busy time, and we're talking. It's fun talking about these teams, and over the next 6 weeks or so, as we head into the first week of high school tryouts or practice, we'll have learned a lot more, over the next month, and Looking forward to it already, though. I truly mean this. I can't wait for March.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm with you on that, baby.
Coach, always a pleasure. Kevin. Hey, folks, if you want to get start of the season, go check out our friends, our partners over at Prime Sports Midwest, Rick Benz. If you're still looking to outfit your team, because if you look good, you play good.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. And I was always a uniform hound myself. I can't help it. The orange and blue ain't no lie. I love that stuff. Love that stuff. We had some uniforms. There was one year, man, at 9U, there was I know I'll get back to it, but we found this discount place. They were just selling uniforms off like crazy, just cheap. Somebody went out of business. We had like 4 uniform combinations, at 9 years old. It was a heck of a lot of fun.
Nice. Good stuff.
Oh, my wife goes, you're getting carried away. But it's fun. So, go see Rick Benz over at Prime Sports Midwest. They're down in Fenton, 1550 Ocello Drive in Fenton, Missouri.
Impressed.
Correct?
Yeah.
And they're going to get you outfitted. They do everything there. 80% of what they do, if you order it on the fan website, they'll set that up for you. They print it out there at the shop. You can have it delivered or shipped. You can go pick it up. Locally owned. Tell Rick that YBM sent you. He'll get you taken care of. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, please, first time, subscribe. We appreciate that. Hit that dinger right there next to it, because that's what we do around here, right, Coach? You got to hit.
That's right. Dingers are good.
Dingers are good. I always love that. And so you get all your notifications for upcoming episodes of the show. Like, share, comment. Want to hear what you have to say. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters,
Hit them where they ain't.
good advice. We'll see y'all next time.